Children are the future, but sometimes this future seems impossible to obtain. We are not in control of choosing where to be born. Unfortunately, some are raised in troubled cities, and migrating to another country might be the only solution. Sadly, during this journey, they are caged. Caged migrant children is a subject that shouldn't exist, but here we are today. Today, I will talk about the psychological problems that these detention centers create, then talk about the environmental factors that cause these psychological problems. Finally, I will go over a few solutions that could prevent this damage. Many families wish to live free, but this freedom could cost more than intended to. Unfortunately, many families coming to the US travel with children. When crossing over to the United States, many are not successful and they are detained in detention centers. These children are separated from their families for indefinite time. Psychologists say that the more time a child stays caged, the higher possibility there is to delay development and cause mental health problems. Adela from the Regiment of Destruction published that about 2,700 children between October 1st, 2007 and May 31st, 2018 have been separated from their families. Imagine how many damaged children have been released to a world they thought was going to be better. Ritu Chatterjee from NPR.org wrote that a recent study showed 32% of those children showed signs of emotional problems. Those children showed symptoms of wanting to cry all the time, conduct problems, not having many friends, or only wanting to interact with adults. 150 children were interviewed, aged 9 to 17 years old, and about 17% showed significant symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. This is 1% too many. According to NPR.org, August 23, 2019, during the Trump administration, he announced a new regulation that will allow families to be detained indefinitely. This means they could be in detention centers for more than 20 days. Before the Trump administration, there was a Flores agreement that only allowed a maximum of 20 days. Even though 20 days still seem like a lot, children would be more calm to know in a specific amount of days than being told they may not be able to see their parents for months. After hearing those problems, let me explain what children see in these centers that create the damage. The Washington Post, June 18, 2018, states that bars, foil blankets, and concrete floors are the first items these children see after being separated from their parents. Not only do they see terrifying objects, but also hear the cries of other children, making it terrifying. Hashtag No Kids in Cages campaign installed recordings of children in these detention centers. USA Today, June 12, 2019, wrote an article about these installations and called it haunting and disturbing. On one of the records, there is a child clearly screaming the word, "Papa." Many would say that these are the consequences of the parents doing illegal acts. But is it necessary to separate the children and throw them with a bunch of scared children? Most detention centers are understaffed or staffed with people that are not trained to be with children. NPR.org reported that these guards are from prison and that they lack sensitivity. And sometimes these guards say things like, "Well, we're going to deport you," or "You'll never leave this place," or something is going to happen to you. These words can cause chronic stress and psychological damage in children. After going through the environmental causes, I would like to discuss about a few solutions to prevent this cruelty. There are always humane ways to treat these families who only seek asylum from the country. The Center for American Progress, June 20, 2018, wrote about the alternative ways there are to prevent separation. Please note that these alternative ways were in place, but they were shut down. Ankle monitoring and more intense supervision were two of the alternatives that were proven ways of ensuring that individuals would comply, and it cost a fraction of incarcerating someone. The most important objective here is that children are not separated from their families. There was also the Family Case Management Program that was 99% effective in families showing up to check-ins and court appearances, and also ensuring departure of families who did not qualify for asylum. This program cost $36 per day per family instead of the $300 per person in detention. We need these programs back. The Women's Refugee Commission stresses to teach everyone that this is not an immigration problem, but a management crisis, and that providing humane treatment to refugee children is an American value. There are words that do not belong together, as in this case, migrant, caged children. I hope that after going through the psychological problems that these kids encounter, including the environmental factors that attribute to it and solutions, there is more knowledge and care for these children. We cannot have caged migrant children.